G'day, you're listening to the Virtual Staff Room, and this is episode 36, Connected. Hello, my name is Chris Betcher, and thank you for joining us here on the Virtual Staff Room. In this episode, we talk to three educators, Chrissy Hellier, a New Zealander living in Bangkok, Thailand, and we also talk to Amanda Marrinan from Brisbane, Australia. And towards the end, we also get a drop in from Paul Wood from Dallas, Texas. And the reason we're talking to these particular three guys today is that they're all very highly connected educators. And by that I mean they are tapped into what's happening globally through tools like Skype and Twitter and the blogosphere. And basically they build a lot of connections. And there's some really interesting stories in this episode about how those connections open up interesting possibilities for what goes on in their classroom. And I think you'll find that interesting. I'm reading a book at the moment by Stephen Johnson called Where Good Ideas Come From. And one of the phrases that gets used in that book is that chance favours the connected mind. And that really resonated with me, this idea that the more connected you are, the more opportunities open up. And I think from talking to Chrissy and Amanda and Paul, that you'll start to see the patterns here, that how being connected and how having lots of connections to other educators and to other classes around the world through these tools of connectedness have really opened some doors up for them and have really created lots of opportunities for learning, as well as some personal opportunities as well. So it's kind of interesting on a number of levels. Anyway, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Here we go with episode 36, Connected. All right, well, I'm talking today to Amanda Marrinan and Chrissy Hellier. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Chris. How are you today?
I'm good. And Chrissy, g'day.
Hi, Chris.
And you guys better tell us where you are in the world.
Well,
Amanda.
I'll go first, yep. I am in Brisbane, Australia. It's a very overcast day here today, but it doesn't matter because it's the weekend before school finishes.
That's right, because us in the Southern Hemisphere, we're just about to cross the finish line.
Yeah, rub it in.
Sorry,
and,
Chrissy.
And Chrissy, what about you?
I am in Bangkok, Thailand, and we're a couple of weeks away from our end of semester one break. So I get to go home for Christmas, which of course is in Kiwi land.
Yep. Excellent. Lovely.
That'd be lovely.
Now, you better, while we got you, Chrissy, tell us what you do. For those who don't know.
For those who don't know, I am the elementary school technology and learning coach from pre-K through to grade 5 at the International School of Bangkok. I've only just started that job. Before that, I was teaching in grade 5 at ISB. Nice.
And you get to work with a few other people that people probably know. You work with Jeff Utek.
Yes, I do.
Up until this year, you worked with Kim Cafino?
Yes, don't remind me. I miss Kim dreadfully.
She misses you. She told me that. And who else is there? Dennis Harder's there?
Yes, Dennis is there. He's actually moved out of the high school technology coordinator's position and into dean of students in the high school. And Jeff has taken his place in the high school. And, of course, I've taken Jeff's place in the elementary school. And we have a new person who's come to us from Peru. His name is Miguel Zambrano, and he is our middle school technology and learning coach now.
Fantastic. It's a real little hotbed of ICT integration there at ISB, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You guys have managed to attract some really good people, and it must be really interesting. You tell us about that.
It is. It's very interesting.
Yeah. And Amanda, just
I'm
tell
so
us what
jealous
you
of
did.
that.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing, isn't it?
I'm a Year 2 teacher at St John Vianney's school. It's a little Catholic primary school in Manly, so I overlook gorgeous Moreton Bay. But we don't. I'm jealous of all of that. I guess that wisdom that you have in your school. Not saying that there isn't any in ours, but it's just sometimes.
Yeah, it's unusual to get it all concentrated in one place like
one
that.
spot, yeah, because at times, I do feel a little isolated where I am. but thank goodness for Skype, and I spend most of my time in the Northern Hemisphere time zone. I often think, how did I ever survive without these technologies? I was only thinking that the other day. It's 4 years ago that I started blogging with my then Year 1 class, and just the amazing journey that I've been on since wouldn't take 1 second of it. But it's just amazing. Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? I know, this whole notion of being a networked educator now, there's so much resource out there beyond your classroom walls that if you're not connected through these huge networks of whatever it is, Twitter or Facebook or the blogosphere or whatever you want to call it, I don't know. Do you get the impression you're operating at a real disadvantage these days as a teacher unless you're connected somehow?
Well, I personally think you are. And it's not just being a network teacher, but we're learners as well. And for my little learners who are only 7 and 8 years of age, as they're gearing up to for the end of their school year, it actually hit some of them on Friday that they would no longer be able to just hop on to Skype and call Maria Nee in New Hampshire or Kathy Cassidy in Canada. As much as I explained to them, well, they could still have those connections with those classes via Twitter, which they've already got, but it's going to be harder for them now moving into a Year 3 class where potentially they might not be engaging in these same and maintaining these connections. And they were really quite upset about the fact that it was coming to an end, and so having to do a lot of convincing with them that they could, it was up to them to just like you have to work at being a friend and maintaining your face-to-face friendships. It was the same with that online, but I know it's going to be hard for them. So I was really pleased that these kids get that the fact that their classroom is not the 4 walls that we reside in for 5 hours, 6 hours every day. That it's the world is their classroom.
That's great. That's great. And look, we were just sort of bragging on Chrissy there, saying she gets to work with people like Jeff and Kim and Dennis and whatnot. But I mean, you're working with people like Maria Nee and Kathy Cassidy.
Yeah.
Who are equally I hate the word gurus, but like we get these people who are just outstanding educators, and they're sharing what they're doing, and whether they happen to be in the same staff room in the same building or whether they happen to be at the other end of a Skype line is almost irrelevant, isn't it? It
is, and sometimes I actually probably talk. It sounds bad, doesn't it? But I probably have more frequent conversations with them than I might have with people within my own building. Because they just might pop on during the course of the school day, and so I guess now I think I probably find that you have to work harder at having those face-to-face conversations with your colleagues. And actually make sure I go to the staff room.
I hear you. What about Chrissy? You're doing a lot of global stuff these days with your kids?
Not really, because I'm not in my own classroom, and I'm kind of missing that a lot these days. I'm at the what's the word? I'm bound by what the classroom teacher is doing, and we have a variety of teachers at various stages. So building those relationships and showing them things little by little so as not to overwhelm them. I think that's been my main job this year. Yep. So it's been I've had to take a step back from the global stuff, and I found that quite hard, not having my own class to connect, because I could do it whenever I wanted, however I wanted, and now I sort of have to ask nicely if I can borrow somebody's class, and I'm finding that quite frustrating.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean there. I keep coming up with all these wonderful ideas about what I could do, and I think if only I had my own class, because you just there's a certain point at which you can't impose completely on another teacher's class. You can go in there with suggestions and say, let's try this, let's try that. But, at the end of the day, there's a big difference between being able to go into someone's class and help them do a project and have your own class where it's an environment you work in rather than a project you do.
Yeah. when I had my own class, we had Skype on all the time, and if somebody happened to ring us, we would just drop everything and talk to them. I remember somebody wanting to know about the way the water went when you flushed the toilet in the middle of a math lesson, and it was like, yeah, let's down tools and do that. So, I can't do that anymore, and so I'm working through ways that I can sort of build some really strong relationships and have maybe a couple of set classes that I can pull together, kids to come into school. See, my class would come into school outside of hours.
Yep.
We quite often would come back to school because we live in a gated community, and kids could come back into school and they could... Pete's talking, my son's talking on the telephone, and he's like right in my ear.
That's all right, you fix that in post.
Oh, he's just, I've completely lost my line of thought. I have to deal with him.
Just 1 second.
Are you recording all that? Can you mute me or something like that?
Oh.
Can I go for 2 o'clock to join these guys to go hockey?
Oh, that's precious.
Yeah, I can come over. Yeah, I can.
That is so staying in the podcast.
You take that out, Chris Betcher. You take that out.
Where were we?
Where were we? Yeah, Chrissy was talking about how it's hard to stay.
Now I have to edit it. You just made so much extra work for me.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I knew I should have sneaked up to the bedroom.
That's okay. No worries.
I made my hubby turn the cricket off.
Did you?
Actually, no, he was happy. He's gone out to the computer, the other computer.
Oh, dear. Oh, sorry. Oh, where was I?
I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to edit that.
I know what you were talking about, Chris, both of you. I know that at times when I've got really frustrated, with, I guess, trying to bring others on board. Obviously, within our little Catholic primary schools, we don't really have a full-time tech integrator, so to speak. We have someone who comes 1 day a week, Chris, Paul Shaw, and just I guess it's more just trying to get people to come on board with using Macs and just getting familiar with iMovie or GarageBand or what have you. So, and just changing the pedagogy more so than using a lot of the tech. But people have sort of suggested to me maybe I should try and pursue other options outside of the classroom, and I would relish being in that mentoring role, but then I thought, but no, then I would miss that contact with the kids, just like you said, Chrissy. And
it's such a balancing act, the whole ICT integrator's role, because you constantly find more and more opportunities where you could integrate IT in really rich ways, but kind of almost like less and less real opportunities to get your teeth in and do it.
We have a really good bunch of willing teachers, but they've also got the rest of the curriculum to get through as well. And you want to say, look, but this is part of writing or this is part of reading, but they're bound by these units that they have to complete. And if it's, like I would just juggle things around. If we didn't do math one day and we spent the time talking to somebody in Canada, then somehow I made that fit. I brought it round to whatever it was that we were studying, and that to me was more authentic and more rich. But when it's not your classroom, it's even harder to convince the teacher that it's, well, not that it's not worthwhile, but that it's an authentic piece of learning that belongs anytime, anywhere in what you're doing in the classroom. So that's the bit that I miss the most.
But it is that shift in thinking, isn't it? The shift in pedagogy where the teacher isn't the one in control. See, like you, Chrissy, having an inquiry-based approach, and we all have to. We've been planning inquiry units for heavens, probably a good 10, 12 years. But that doesn't mean that everybody goes back into their classroom and delivers them that way. But in my room, like you, if someone comes on Skype, or I can even remember a few years back when kids saw a praying mantis, on the ceiling, and so, let's go and investigate because at that point they didn't know what it was, and let's go off and investigate. And then you've got a whole inquiry going off in that direction. You end up covering more outcomes than you could ever have planned for.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah,
Or you have the potential to.
Yes, and I guess in our case, probably the kids working at a higher level than you ever would have imagined they would as well, because it is authentic and they own the learning. But convincing others to take that step back and let go of the control, that's hard.
Yeah, I would say that's the hardest bit of my job, is convincing others to do that. And I'm not quite sure how to do that.
Do you reckon that's a matter of how you interpret the syllabus more so than what the syllabus actually says?
I think so.
I think so, yes, definitely. I mean, I know with our national curriculum coming in, and I guess it being, you know, a lot more prescriptive, people are thinking, oh, well, it's going to be so content driven, but I'm not overly concerned. I will still, it's not going to change the way that I teach. It's not going to change, you know, the amount of control that I give kids within a classroom. Like you said, Chrissy,
you say that, but what if you get a principal that comes in and starts insisting that no, the syllabus says this, you have to do it this way?
Fingers crossed, Chris. I haven't got a principal like that. I mean, I've been lucky. You know, I've been at this school for 15 years now, and I that's the longest I've ever been in one place, and I don't wish to leave because of the great principles that we have had that really do give us the freedom to do what we're doing, and encourage the kids to be really active in their learning. So I think if it turned around where I had a principal who dictated to me how I was to teach, then I would leave.
Hey, you know what?
What?
I'm an idiot.
Why? What did you do?
Because
you haven't been recording.
I haven't been recording. Oh, my God.
I love it.
Oh,
Chris, I've got my call recorder on. Do you want me to send you the file?
You have got your call recorder on?
I have. It's flashing. Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot that it automatically comes on. So there you go.
Well, Amanda, if you're recording it, can you just send me the recording?
Sure.
Okay. And I just won't bother.
Okay.
Talk about an idiot. Okay.
Oh, now the pressure's on me.
Oh, what a deal.
It's that end of year school mode, isn't it, Chris?
So, Amanda, speaking of Skype, so you tried version 5, the new one, and you didn't like it and you went back.
Well, yes.
Did you?
Well, I did initially love it, and I was trying to, waiting for the opportunity to have, the group video call. But yeah, the first week it worked like a charm. I actually did. I Skyped New Hampshire. I Skyped Canada, and I Skyped I Skyped my children in Perth. But then when I was having a Skype call set up with Maria's Kinder Kids last week, and we just couldn't get it to work. And then we found out that Kathy Cassidy had the same problems connecting with Maria a few days beforehand, and the common theme was that both Kathy and I had upgraded to the beta version of Skype.
That's 5, right?
For 5, yeah, 5.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't get the audio at all to work, and all video. And so Maria's Kinder Kids were just beautiful. They sat there while we both problem solved, and then I went and just reverted back to the old version and worked a treat.
Now, Chrissy, you sounded really surprised there. You've obviously upgraded and you're okay with it.
I have, but then I haven't done much with it. I've just talked to people. I haven't tried recording or anything. I just tried to start off Audio Hijack, but it wants me to quit Skype so it can hijack. So
but you're on the Mac, right?
Up on that idea. Yeah, I'm on the Mac. Yeah. The only thing that I don't like about it is that the contact screen is so big.
That's
It's not. Yeah.
I didn't install it for that reason. I looked at it and went, "That's just like Skype to me is just the thing that sits in the very side of my computer and it's always running and it's always on." And the idea of it being a program I have to open in order to do something that takes up most of my screen. I just thought that was a stupid idea.
It had a real Windows feel to it as well,
Yeah.
I thought.
And I don't like the Windows version.
No. And the chat screen then was really difficult to locate once you were on a call. You couldn't just flip really easily between the two. Because obviously if you are having problems and you need to type into the chat, I can't hear you. Well, I just couldn't even find it. And so I gave up and thought, no, I'll wait until they've sorted it out.
It's interesting. I had one of our teachers come to me this week and said she needs some help with Skype. She needs to get Skype installed on a computer and some help because she's never done it before. And okay, so off we go. She's doing a unit of work on shipwrecks with her Year 11 class, and she found a museum in Sweden called the Vasa Museum that actually is kind of one of the best shipwreck museums in the world, based on this shipwreck called the Vasa off the Swedish coast. Wow. And on their website, they actually have a thing that says Skype a museum expert.
Oh, how cool is that?
Oh, wow.
So, and that to me is the missing piece of the puzzle. Skype's super easy to use, but who do you Skype, you know?
Yeah. See, I was lucky in that Maria, Nee's daughter, is a marine biologist. She had been working for the Ocean Genome Legacy and had done a number of dives out here in Australia for collecting, when they were doing all that, the census, collecting all the marine data. And I guess she's had a little bit of a relationship with probably my last year's GEMS, last year's Year 2 class and this year's. She was in diving off Ningaloo Reef about this time last year. Or was she up on Heron? Sorry, she was on Heron, and she actually came and visited my kids. Nice. Then this year she was up on Lizard Island for about a month. And both of my those classes, just obviously wanted to connect with Abby because of the fact that she was Maria's daughter. But because where my school is situated on, Moreton Bay, it was just so authentic. And so that they were the days where if Abby came on and the kids would just straight away start asking her questions about what she was doing. We actually had a conversation, an impromptu conversation. Abby came online and just said, good morning, how's it going, Gems? And next thing, within the space of a few minutes, the kids were having this conversation about scientists and her role and how she went about collecting these samples and then what happened in the lab. And these 7-year-olds were just buzzing, and I thought, here we go. It doesn't matter that we're not doing a marine inquiry at the moment, but in actual fact, the questions that they were asking, and it was all that scientists and ways of working. And after we'd finished that call, she then sent a link to some pictures that she'd taken and that were on Facebook, and I just sort of downloaded them for the kids. That then generated a whole series of questions, which we then put into a Google form for Abby, and they then said, maybe if Abby's collected all this, information about the marine life up on Lizard Island, and she did it in Heron Island last year, and she did it in Ningaloo Reef the year before, and she did it up in Manila prior to that, maybe we could go and collect some data from Moreton Bay and contribute to her research. And I thought, there you go.
This is Year 2.
These were Year 2s, and that was going to be our inquiry then this term. We started off and then got hooked into Terry Smith's Global Monster Project, and that sort of took over. But it didn't matter because they still linked to her. She then went away and answered the kids' questions by creating a site on Shutterfly and creating an ebook for the kids, which I then went and bought. And I just thought, that book is already so well used.
Here's the dilemma about all that, though, is that there's no, or not that I know of, unless you know of one, like a central database somewhere where you can go and say, I need to speak to a marine biologist who's willing to talk to my kids on Skype, and you can go and find someone. So you've managed to find that person through your own personal connections.
Yes, I have, but then right. I know that Abby could point. She's got friends who are geologists and what have you as well. So I guess.
But again, that comes through a personal connection.
Comes through a personal connection, right. Yeah, I guess so.
And I'm sort of this dilemma now that when you try and set these things up, it all eventually comes back down to a teacher who's got a connection of someone they know or someone they know who knows someone that they know. that they can set these sorts of calls up with. You know, I did a call to Antarctica a while back with some kids, you know, and it was a matter of, I didn't know anyone there, but it was a matter of me taking the initiative to hunt around until I found someone who was.
Yeah.
And it would be really simple, and this is why I think it's a double-edged sword. It would be really simple if there was a central place you could go to, but as soon as you institutionalise it like that, then I think it takes all the edge off it.
Yeah.
And it's not the same when you just go to rent a friend and just find someone to talk to, as when you actually build those connections yourself.
Yeah.
Which comes back to, I think, what we started talking about, this whole idea of being a connected educator. But I don't know a marine biologist, but I know you, and you know a marine biologist.
And I think that's how it works, because I know that whilst I was overseas for ISTE, my children were doing a unit on where their food came from, because it linked in with our yearly, Royal National Show. And I know that they tweeted out, is there anybody who knows someone who lives on a farm? And they were able to connect, again, through teachers that I knew, that they were able to find someone who could tell them about dairy farming.
Right, but a teacher who's teaching a unit on farming who doesn't know anyone who lived on a farm, who never lived on a farm themselves, who isn't connected to anyone who knows someone who lives on a farm, they're kind of screwed. Like, who are they going to talk to? Yeah, and that's just one example. But, I mean, pick any part of the syllabus you like and say, this would be great if we could connect to an expert, but unless you've got the wherewithal to connect to the expert by being a connected educator, or at least being able to tap into a network of other connected educators who can somehow hook you up, I mean, there's a real missed opportunity there.
There is.
Yeah, and that's what really gets to me, is that it's not only you as the teacher that's missing out, is that you're actually doing your kids a disservice by not being a networked, connected educator.
Yeah, yeah. The more I think about that, the more critical that really becomes, isn't it? This whole idea of being connected. It's not simply because so we can share a few links on Twitter. It's actually the whole notion of being connected.
And learning from each other.
Learning from each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm reading a book at the moment, and the little catchphrase on it is, chance favours the connected mind. The doorways and the opportunities that open up to you if you've got connections are so vastly different to if you don't.
Exactly. Well, like I was saying earlier, that everything that's happened, the opportunities that I've been provided over the last 4 years, all because I went to a workshop on how to create learning objects in PowerPoint, and there was a preschool teacher there who had started blogging, and I saw that blog and thought, I could do that, and I would do it differently, and just went home and Googled blogging in the classroom, and of course, up came Maria's name, up came Kathy's name, and the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah.
It's just amazing times that we live in, but it is. It's all about those connections.
And Chrissy, I imagine you could tell similar kinds of stories that, that things that have happened to you or things that have happened in your class or to you personally or whatever, that you can trace back and you go, yeah, that was from an exchange on Twitter or an email I got from someone or whatever,
Where I am today, where I'm working today is all because
quite
of
literally,
being connected. Literally.
Yeah, you are quite literally in Thailand, Bangkok today because
that
of
is
the connection.
right.
Awesome.
That is exactly right. That's there is no way on earth that I could have possibly ended up here without that connection.
Yep. I was in Shanghai, China earlier this year, and when people say, "Oh, how did you get there?" Twitter. Which is a real simplified version of the answer. But if you want to trace it back to the absolute, bottom line, Twitter.
Yep.
And see, initially I couldn't see the purpose for Twitter, but 2 years ago when NEC was in San Antonio, and Maria Nee had asked my children to contribute to a voice thread that she was doing on the making of maple syrup, and that had all stemmed from questions that my children were asking about when they'd seen a post on their blog about the kinder kids going to watch the trees being tapped, and of course for Aussie kids that was like, well, what does that mean? And so they'd made this voice thread for us, and I asked her, well, which conference is it that you're presenting at? And she sent the link, and I did a bit of search on the NECNING and saw the profile for one of the then an education officer from Brisbane Cath Ed, and thought, what is she doing there? And then I could see a purpose for getting onto Twitter, because that was my way then of trying to actually connect Aki Girl, as it was, and Maria, but also
yeah.
but also for me to keep track on what was going on in that conference. And and that was the start of Twitter for me. Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it?
It is funny. Haven't looked back.
Yeah. I've done a lot of travel this year, and a lot of it has stemmed from just stuff that's grown out of online connections.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really funny. Someone said to me recently, "Oh, you're really lucky you get all of this traveling." I thought, yep, the more connected I am, the luckier I get.
Yeah.
Yep.
It really is true.
It is true. Well, see, the same for me. I spent, 8 weeks overseas, and it was, the connection, again, to be able to meet people that you've connected with online, meet them face to face, but also establish new connections as well. It was just the best trip, and now I'm gearing up to do it all over again next year.
Are you going back, are you?
I wasn't going to, Chris, but yes, with the healthy state of the Aussie dollar, I am.
Fair enough. You see, I struggle with that one because it's right in the middle of school term. Just getting the time off is just hard.
Well, I suppose, I've applied for leave again, so...
So they haven't said yes yet.
They haven't said yes, but they will. They will.
Let's hope they don't listen to this first.
Have you been to ISTE, Chrissy?
No, I haven't, and I've been seriously thinking about it for next year because, of course, that's our school break.
Yeah.
So we're not working. So it's very appealing. But I think even more appealing for me is the workshops that Ellen November runs in Boston.
Right.
And I'd really like to. I'd
went to
really
them,
like
Amanda,
to
didn't you?
attend.
Yes, Maria, Kathy, and I presented at BLC this year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, really different. I mean, I love ISTE. BLC had a really different feel, though. I guess it's because it's a smaller conference. And I really enjoyed it. Different workshops too. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I haven't...
Yeah, I follow all the tweets on for ISTE, and it's kind of like I have noticed over the year that more and more people are saying that there's just so many people going there, and that sessions are so packed that they're starting to not get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
So,
the queues are an issue at ISTE.
I can't imagine a conference with, 16,000 people?
I know, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's like 10 times bigger than you learn. I can't even fathom that.
Yeah. It was certainly mind-blowing last year when it was in DC. That was my first experience and my first major overseas trip as well. So, I was just walking around all starry-eyed. But, yeah, just to have all those educators in one room.
I walk around, you learn starry-eyed.
Yeah, but you just got to say to yourself, they're just teachers. They're just classroom teachers, just like me.
Last year I just, even though I don't have my own professional blog yet, it's there, but no posts on it. I just haven't got around to doing it or had the courage to start. But I remember sitting in the Bloggers Cafe in DC last year and had Sue Waters was there with her, and David Warlick came up and started talking to Sue, and then sat down beside me and said, "So, tell me all about you." And I went, "Oh my God, David Warlick's talking to me." But, just the loveliest man. And Sue and I, we've been obviously talking blogging, and I know that Maria and Kathy use David's blogging platform, and I do like a lot of the things that Blogmeister offers, but then there are things that I like about Blogger as well, and setting my kids' blogs up as digital portfolios, and I wouldn't be able to do that on Blogmeister. And so I sort of started talking to David about that, and he said, "Well, why do you want to change?" And I thought, I like you, that you're not pushing your own platform, that you just genuinely, whatever's best and what meets your needs the best. I would have sat talking to him for about 45 minutes. Yeah,
he's a nice fella.
Really nice fellow, yeah.
So when we started talking today, the usual thing with this podcast is let's just turn the recorder on, if we remember to.
Yes, let's.
And then just start talking to see what happens. And, I think an obvious theme has emerged here of, connectedness and being connected and, being part of a bigger group. Of people who have some sort of a shared direction.
And it's not just growing professionally. I mean, the friendships that I, the lifelong friends I have now made because of these connections.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I can't remember if I've told this story on the podcast before, but I'll tell it now. When I went to New Zealand for a conference, I went to Auckland for a conference last year.
Yay.
I got to fly out of Sydney with another guy from Sydney who I'd never met before, a guy called Paul Lewin, who teaches at a school here. And the people who had organised this for us to go just said, look, just meet up at the airport. You've got seats next to each other on the plane and you're staying in the hotel, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. So we met literally standing in the line waiting to check in. And I went, oh, Paul. He goes, oh, Chris. So, hey, g'day. So we sat next to each other on the plane. We checked into the hotel. We each had our own rooms, but we ended up sort of going for dinner that night and had a couple of drinks. And then the next night we hung out and whatever. So the whole conference, we'd never met, but we just hung out for the 2 days of the conference. The third day of the conference, when we were leaving to come home, we had a bit of spare time to kill. So I got on Twitter and I said, I'm in Auckland if anyone wants to sort of, hook up and catch up, whatever. And Tony Twiss, who lives down in Hamilton, said, so her and her husband drove up from Hamilton, met Paul and I at the hotel, and we just hung out. When I told Paul we were going to do this is my new best buddy, right? Who I didn't know 2 days ago. He said, what are we doing today? And I said, we're hanging out with this friend of mine from Hamilton. And he goes, who's she? And I said, blah, blah, blah. And I told her all the things that Tony does. Oh, right. And how do you know her? I've never met her before.
Never met her before, yep.
I only know her on Twitter. And he looked at me and went, really? You'd go hanging out with someone you've never met before? And I was like...
It's like, hello, what am I doing now?
Dude, I met you in the check-in line 2 days ago. And it struck me as being kind of a really interesting experience that we somehow view a face-to-face relationship that we've developed different to a non-face-to-face relationship that we've developed. And even though they're obviously different, one's not necessarily better or worse than the other.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I'd
Go on, Chrissy.
I'd been friends with Kim Cafino for 2 years before I actually met her face to face.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like when she opened the door, and I ended up staying with her. When she opened the door, it was like I'd known her all my life, and yet I was meeting her.
Yep. I met Kim in Shanghai and felt exactly the same when I first met her. It was like, I feel like I really already know you,
Yes.
Yeah.
It's weird how it's like that.
It is weird. I felt the same like meeting Maria and Kathy for the first time as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like my own adult children find it all quite amusing, and yet they're meant to be the ones who, are really connected online, and they're realising that they're not really.
Oh, my kids do that too, yeah.
But
my kids think.
Where are we going, Dad?
Too.
Oh, we're going to meet this person I've never met before. And they just shake their heads and go, really?
Because I met up with when I did the same as you, Chris. So when I was in New York, I met up with Bob Greenberg. Went and had lunch with him, and then Dennis Grice met up with me. We had lunch at Disneyland when I was in California. But yeah, I know my kids are going, but you're meeting these men and you don't know them. Yes, I do. Yeah. It's,
Well, the funny part about the Paul story was that afterwards, like we went to lunch with Tony and her husband, and we sat and we talked about all sorts of stuff that was, really interesting conversations. And afterwards, sitting on the plane going home, and Paul says to me, the best bit of this whole weekend was having lunch today with those people. That was a great conversation. I'm thinking, this is kind of what it's like when you're connected all the time,
Yes. Yeah.
You're just immersed in this stuff.
You are, and that's why I think it's easy to become immersed. It's like I said before, you have to maybe work a little bit harder than with your face-to-face relationships with your colleagues.
Yeah,
because it's so much easier to be connected online. I'm finding now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very easy to be connected.
Yeah. So if that then seems to be our theme, so what advice are you going to give to someone who's not yet connected as to maybe why they should be and how they go about doing it?
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, but just do what?
I know. And I suppose they've got to see a reason for doing it though, haven't they?
Like, what's the tool? Everyone always says Twitter. Like, is that the starting point, or is that where you'd start?
It's probably a safe place to start because you can kind of lurk, I guess, if you start with Skype, then you've actually got to take that first step and make
intimate.
that connection. Yeah, it is. It is, but I think Twitter or just follow somebody's blog, somebody who's doing something in the classroom or speaking the way that you think. Follow them, and then I guess the next step is Twitter. Follow them on Twitter and maybe lurk for a while, and every now and again join in where there's something that you feel like you have a little bit to contribute to the conversation. I mean, everybody's got something to contribute to the conversation because we're all about students and we're all about learning. So,
yeah. Prior to things like Twitter and whatnot, did you guys ever lurk around sort of mailing lists?
Yes,
no.
I did. I was on Oz Teachers for quite a while, and I lurked. I lurked big time there.
I don't recognise your name there. You must have posted a lot.
No, I didn't, Chris. No.
Oh, okay. No. As you probably noticed, I do.
And I probably wasn't Marrinan on there either. That's only happened since I started blogging with my classes. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of mailing lists. I know they're old technology and there's lots cooler ways to do it these days. I just think that's a nice, really safe foray into a professional learning community if you can find the right one.
I must admit that I know I still subscribe, but I that's on a different email, and I very rarely go there. Yeah, I probably should go back because I remember I did enjoy the conversations on there, but I suppose I was still back at that stage where I didn't feel I had anything to contribute, even though obviously I did. Yeah, and I think it's getting over that hurdle as well. Like as Chrissy said, when I started blogging with my class, I was 4 years ago, I was breaking new ground in my school. So there was a little bit of hesitation there about, the principal wanting it to be kept private, all that sort of thing, which we did probably for about 6 or 7 weeks. And an education officer and Kathy just went, no way, we need to open this out to the world. So that's then when kids started commenting on, we started following other classroom blogs and we'd leave the odd comment. But it was
you had an administrator say, no, this needs to go to the world.
I did, an education officer from KZ, and she was actually our curriculum support teacher at the time, and she could see just how, because I initially started the blog I guess as a way of giving kids a more authentic reason for reading and writing. But she, I guess, within a very short space of time, she could see that it was a whole lot more than that, and I guess I started to see that too. So it was nice to have her support to then go and, I guess, convince admin that we really did need to open up this blog and not keep it private. And yeah, we sort of started commenting on Kathy's blog and Maria's blog, and. But just occasionally, but we'd read it, but it's still just, do we leave a comment? But I can remember it was actually one of my students at the time, who then one day just went and left a comment. Maybe we hadn't commented on Kathy's blog. Left a comment on Kathy's blog. I was doing a workshop on blogging, and I'd linked Kathy's blog onto this workshop blog that I'd created, and I'd forgotten to take the link down off the class blog. And he went on and left a comment, and Kathy got back then in contact with us. And that child's now getting ready to leave our school. He's heading off to an all-boys college next year, and he still come up to me and say, if it wasn't for me, we would never have connected with Mrs. Cassidy. Yeah.
What a cool thing to remember.
It is. And then so again, he is one of the ones that's a little disappointed in actually leaving our school community, because he knows that is really the end of it, unless he really helps maintain those connections that he did have with Kathy and Maria's blogs. So I'm hoping that the skills that they that they have now will just they'll have for life.
Yeah, that's great. Great story. Hey, listen, I know we're winding down and we'll probably finish up shortly, but someone has just come online who wanted to come online from the beginning. He's only just has. So do you mind if I bring him in?
No, sure.
No, go for it.
Do you guys know Paul Wood? Paul PR Wood, 50, from Texas.
From Texas.
Ah.
Hello, Paul.
Yeah, how are y'all?
Hi, Paul.
We're good.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for joining us. It's a bit late in the game, and we are probably going to wind up shortly, but I just saw you pop up there and just thought, we have to bring you in. You've made all this effort to connect.
Well, good to talk to y'all.
You too.
Sorry, I dozed off in my chair. I've been a little bit sick and trying to get over it.
That's all right. That's all right. Now, Paul, just tell us you're in Texas, right?
I'm in Dallas, Texas. I'm at a grade 6 through 12 high school. And one of the things we just recently done is we allow the students to bring their own connectivity.
Oh, really? Yeah. So you just provide the infrastructure and let them connect with whatever they want?
Yeah, it was a 3-year process for us to get to this point. And we also are about 80 to 85% e-books across the board.
Wow. I reckon that's the inevitability of one-to-one is BYO device.
Yep.
I think so. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Paul.
Well, it's just the way they're cutting back budgets and everything over here. It's just going to be simpler. We only had to provide a few laptops for students that didn't have them on their own. And basically what we did is we took the carts, the mobile carts that we had, and we used the laptops out of there.
Yeah, sensible way to do it. Hey, so we've been talking about being connected, being a connected teacher, a connected educator, and connecting your kids and connecting to other educators and stuff. And we were just telling stories about, how it happened for us and stuff. You got any good stories about that?
Well, I thought it was pretty interesting the other night when I'm sitting in a graduate class evaluating a project that some students there at the grad school did for us for internet citizenship and that kind of stuff. And the first quote that comes up is from you.
I remember you tweeted me that. I thought that was pretty funny.
I started laughing. They said, "What's the matter?" I said, "I know him. I know him."
That's right. So don't try and get away with anything.
That's right. You're not going to pull any wool over my eyes.
Yeah, that's right. And he didn't actually say that.
That was great. I loved it.
Yeah, no, that's good. Excellent. Because, you're a classic example. We were just talking about, being connected and there are some people who through the networks that you've never actually met. And this is the first time I've ever heard your voice. And yet you and I have been having exchanges for what, a couple of years now?
Oh, easily. I just looked the other day. I think I've been on Twitter a little over 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm one of the first people that got your book when that came out.
I think you are. I was going to say that, but I didn't want to mention it. But yeah, you tweeted me and said, I just bought your book. And I went, wow, the first person.
I must have been the second then.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for your autograph.
When I come to Thailand.
See, Chris, I've never met you face to face either.
No,
how long have we been connected for? Must be a good couple of years now.
Yeah, easy 4 years.
Yeah.
Easy 4 years. And yet, and it's really funny, and yet everyone else in your kind of crew, and I just call them the New Zealand crew,
Yeah, they've all met you. It's so not fair.
Yeah, well, I've got to meet them, and it's really kind of. I was making a list of. I was just categorizing some things the other day in my address book and going, wow. Like all these people who I have only ever known online, and just over the years now I can go, met that person, met that person, and it's kind of, it's really nice.
It is nice.
But it really doesn't matter, though.
No.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you've actually met that person face to face, because those connections and the networking is also authentic and it's extremely helpful. And we've been able to do things that we wouldn't have been able to have done had we not been connected or networked. And that's the real beauty of it.
Fully agree.
And that's the hardest thing. Yeah, it's the hardest thing to explain to people who aren't connected, though, because they don't understand. How could you possibly be friends with somebody, or how could you possibly get help from somebody that you haven't met before?
Yep.
And yet, it's really no different to coming into a staff room and saying, I need help with such and such.
Exactly.
It's just a global staff room. I don't get how they don't get it.
Yeah. It's like friends and family, you can pick your friends, you can't pick your family.
Oh, wow. There's fighting words over here.
Gee, I hope my mother doesn't listen to this podcast.
I hope my sister does. She won't. That's why I can safely say that. That's good. It's a really connected world. And Jeff Utek was over here recently in Australia.
Yes, he was.
I don't know what stories he's been telling you, but we enjoyed having him here.
He said that he wasn't allowed to enjoy himself too much.
That's right, because his wife.
Yeah.
His wife wants to come to Australia, so he wasn't allowed to have too good a time without her.
But he had to scope it out.
That's right.
Make sure that it was a good place to come back and visit. So I think they are. I think you showed him such a good time that they are going to come back and visit together.
It's good. It was good having him here. It was good. And he was absolutely, look, he came here for a conference that we organised, and it was him and Jenny Luca from Melbourne.
Yep.
And it was an absolutely perfect symbiotic, whatever you call it, of the two speakers, Jenny on day one and Jeff on day two. It was just spot on. And I think everyone just went, yeah, wow, we get it. Yep. The number of people who sort of realised afterwards and they said, I'm now seeing the power of being connected. I'm now seeing the value of Twitter and the value of being part of a bigger online presence.
There's a recommendation that I'd say to somebody who's looking to get connected or start out in this, and that's download Jeff's book, the one that he's just written called Reach.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, and it really does have some tips and tricks for getting started and getting yourself connected and networked. And
even and I'd never really thought about this before, but in that very first chapter where he talks about the difference between a network and a community, because I'd always kind of used the two terms interchangeably, but it's not. It's about building a network, which is which I guess is the infrastructure that allows you to then build community.
Yeah.
That's how I took it away anyway.
I got a question. I don't know if y'all have talked about this or not, but, there's been a lot of debate over the phrase PLN, and over here with, well, let's be careful how we use our words and how we use our phrases, but when you think about it, Twitter is a PLN, but it's not my only PLN. But a lot of people think y'all are always phrasing that as, oh, my PLN on Twitter or this.
Yeah. No. Yeah, that's interesting.
It's a whole lot of tools that bring together everyone in your learning community, I guess.
And as someone said, was it Amanda or Chrissy, one of them said before, like the one of the starting points is just to read other people's blogs, pick a bunch of people who you connect with emotionally, intellectually, whatever, and just start to read their blogs and comment.
Yeah, that's how I started.
Yeah, that's a great starting point because it's low threat. It's not threatening, it's low risk.
Low risk, yeah.
Yeah, just don't get caught lurking too much.
Yeah.
I've read a few things lately on people's blogs where they've said, I'm going to make a bigger effort to comment on people's blogs. I read lots of stuff, but sometimes I just get too busy to comment. I'm going to make a bigger effort to comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've detected a few people saying that sort of thing. There's kind of almost like a feeling in the air that needs to happen.
I think one of the things that's been interesting to me is the more people have become involved in things like Twitter and that kind of stuff, how much blogging has kind of taken a back seat a little bit.
Yeah.
Mine has terribly.
Yeah, mine too. I get these great ideas in my head that would make a really good blog post, and I think, I can say that in 140. Not very well, but I can say it.
Well, I know that that's something I need to do because even with my students, it's always saying to them, it's about the conversation because engaging in those conversations leads to further learning. So, and I suppose even when I was initially really scared to dip my toe in, I just had to say to myself, I need to start thinking the way at that point in time, my 5 and 6 year old students think, and it's just jump in and give it a go, which is what Chrissy said before. And sometimes, I still tell myself now, what would my young learners do here? That's the way I need to behave. So that's sort of a bit of a holiday goal for me, just to start get back into reading a few more blogs and commenting, and maybe even start my own.
Yes.
Oh, go Amanda.
Get onto it, Amanda.
Get after it. There you go.
I'll read your blog.
Oh, thank you, Chrissy.
We all will.
Yeah. Okay.
Most definitely.
Oh, that's good. All right. Well, I guess this call's approaching the hour mark, so we should probably wind it up. But
Yes, it is.
can I just thank you guys for jumping in today? As I said in the beginning, it just seemed like a wonderful rainy afternoon here in Sydney to turn the recorder on, if I remembered, and record a podcast.
I got your back, Chris.
Yeah.
I appreciate the invite, most definitely.
Yeah,
thank
it's
you.
good.
I
It's great.
appreciate
Great for you guys to jump in and connect and just share some thoughts. It's wonderful.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Thoroughly.
No
enjoyed it.
worries.
you.
No worries. So, Amanda,
Very
just
enjoyable.
where can people find you on the web, Amanda?
Where can people find me? Well,
Yep.
seeing as I don't yet have my own blog, through my class blog, which is 2mgems.blogspot.com, and I'm just Marigem on Twitter, and Clerk, and Amanda Gem on Skype.
Okay, excellent. And Chrissy, what about you? Where can people find you on the web?
Well, I'm NZ Chrissy on Twitter, and I have
everywhere
my
else.
own, and everywhere else, yeah. And I'm teachingsagittarian.com. That's where I blog.
Excellent. I'm guessing you're a Sagittarius.
Yes, I am. And a teaching one at that.
There you go. And Paul, what about you?
I'm Paul R. Wood on Twitter, prwood50 on Skype, and what is your IT vision at blogspot.com.
What is your IP vision?
IT vision.
IT vision, right, sorry. What is your IT vision? Excellent. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time and energy. And we
You're
should
very welcome.
talk again.
Very welcome. Yep.
Okay. Hooroo.
Thank you all. Good to talk to you all. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. This podcast is released under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike license, so share it with your friends, get some of them connected. You'll also find the show notes and all the other information about things that were mentioned in this podcast at virtualstaffroom.net, and I'd encourage you to go over there and have a look and see what's there and perhaps leave a comment. Always good to hear from people. Until next time, my name is Chris Betcher. You've been listening to The Virtual Staff Room.